Playground Games really does care about accessibility. We saw quite a bit of that in their previous Forza Horizon 4, and now with Forza Horizon 5 coming out very soon, is it the most accessible game that they've had in the franchise? And also, is it Xbox's most accessible game to date? Let's find out. TLDR, yeah, it is. Before I begin this video, I want to encourage you to please hit the subscribe button. And also, if you like this video at the end, hit the like button. It'll help honestly grow this channel even more, and I'll really appreciate it. Hi, I'm Steve Saylor. I'm blind, and if you're wondering how I'm able to play video games if I'm blind, if you take a look at the video here and the video is not there, click the link in the description down below to see exactly what I see when I'm playing video games. So I'm not gonna dive into any preamble. We're just gonna jump right into the conversation that I had with Courtney Craven and Ben Bayless from CanIPlayThat.com. I sat down with them to be able to discuss Forza Horizon 5 and the accessibility that we found in the game. So let's jump right into that discussion. So, Forza, it's a good game, right?
It's a very good game, yeah.
So I want to ask Courtney, because you have a piece that's going to be coming out on Can I Play That that has sort of a bit of a personal sort of story about you and your history and Susan's history with Forza. But I'm gonna start off with you, as this is the fifth version or the fifth edition, I don't know what you would call it, the fifth sequel, Forza Horizon. How is this to you? Just kind of general thoughts, kind of seeing like you've been with this sort of franchise for quite a while.
So just to gauge how much I and formerly Susan loved this series, we actually bought the Xbox 360 after we bought the Xbox One, just so that we could play the first in the Horizon series. So,
oh wow!
So we've played all of them, and this one is by far my favorite in the series because it's so colorful, and I don't know, it's kind of nice to play somewhere that feels warm when it's getting cold out here in Michigan. So that's nice, and it's bright and vibrant, and I love the characters. Even, one of the big differences I noticed this time, which unfortunately is not very accessible, but the DJs on the radio have so much more personality this time than they have in previous entries in the series. So I think it's such a big step up from the past games, and I'm excited to keep playing.
Yeah, I mean, even my general thoughts of it, it's like, yeah, this is kind of like the first sort of like Forza game that I really got into. I played a little bit of 4, I played a little bit of Forza 7, but I never really could get into it because driving games and I just do not match well. I'm probably going to insert a clip here of me actually like trying to be able to play just another driving game, and I suck at it. Oh crap. Oh crap, I don't know what I'm doing, where am I going? Oh shoot, oh shoot. Oh no, this is so, no. But this opportunity kind of came up where essentially being able to review 5, I was really kind of excited just to kind of see what this game is like from an accessibility standpoint. But like, even just in general, like this game is just like absolutely gorgeous, and it's like there are many moments where I did feel like it was a bit of immersion sort of breaking, because like and not in a bad way, because there were times I did feel like that I was driving through an actual photorealistic Mexico. Like it felt like I was watching a video and not playing a video game. And that's just how gorgeous it looks. I mean, I'm playing on the Xbox Series X, so it looks just as good as you could on a console level. And yeah, I actually fell in love with playing this game. Ben, what about you? What are sort of your general thoughts on 5, and what is your history on the franchise?
Yeah, so Forza Horizon 4 was set in the UK, which is where I'm from, and very, very close to where I am. It's set in the Cotswolds area, which is brilliant.
Nice.
So, yeah, I had a good time in that game. But Forza Horizon 5 is just an entirely different ballpark in regards to accessibility if you compare the two. Like you both, I found the landscapes to be stunning. As a person that enjoys jumping in, doing photo mode things, this game is perfect for that. And I know that you both have Xbox Series X. I have it on S, and looks just as good as the clips that I've seen from the X. So absolutely amazing optimization as well. But I'm just definitely enjoying it. Just enjoying racing around Mexico.
That's awesome. So let's jump into the accessibility of this, because on the surface, even if you look at the accessibility menu, it doesn't look like that there is a lot there. But this is kind of like where we get to see where accessible design and accessibility options really get to blend together, because there is a lot that is just as much under the hood as there is on top of the hood, to use a proper car pun, as it were. And I want to talk a bit about that, because the accessibility menu, there's some stuff there. I think like the screen narration is great. The subtitle options are fantastic. Like I really actually kind of like, in a weird way, I kind of like the emphasis on words when they bold certain like things that are just kind of like emphasized in dialogue, which is really great. And being able to basically tweak pretty much everything in the settings before you even jump in it really does work quite a bit. And even sort of the assisted driving modes and difficulty options are also, there's stuff that's happening behind the scenes that essentially are kind of are helping you to be able to kind of like really like not only just create just an experience that you want, but also be able to fine tune the experience that you want. And I kind of wanted to ask, we'll jump to you, Courtney. What do you think of sort of the accessibility offerings in Forza Horizon 5? We'll talk about sort of, because there's some stuff that we'll like nitpick a little bit, but what are some of the general sort of like positive thoughts that you have on it?
In general, I think it's amazing. I think it's the best, not just the best. I mean, obviously it's the best Forza game, but I think it's one of the best, most inclusive Xbox titles to date. But
Wow.
But for me, one of the things that really does it is because it is an Xbox exclusive game, it works with Xbox systems, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the quick resume feature, I started a race last night that I won't tell you which one, I won't spoil it, but I started a race last night that ended up taking me about 20 minutes to finish. It was that long of a race.
There are definitely some long races in there, and yeah.
But being able to know that, okay, well, I can just pause it here and go to bed because there's not a chance I'm going to finish this tonight, and pick it up in the morning is huge, because in past games or on other consoles, like there are choices, but other consoles, I would have had to restart the whole thing and finish it all in one go, and not having to do that makes this a much more inclusive experience than it would be otherwise.
I love that. I love that sort of like the thing that's not designed specifically for accessibility can like be sort of like a good quality of life thing. Because even if the power went off at your place last night, you still could have jumped back in because of quick resume. Like that's just how cool that is. So Ben, what about you? What do you like think about the accessibility in Forza Horizon 5?
Needless to say, it's amazing what's there. Like you've already mentioned, the subtitles. You can customize the subtitle size. You can customize whether you have the keywords highlighted or not. You got the preview button for subtitles. I'm so glad that they have this. The text size increase, where you can increase it by 150%, and I can now just I can now just sit back and enjoy a game without having to lean forward and squint and struggle to see. So I really like that. The other features, the screen reader support I found to be a little bit iffy, which is something I mentioned in my review. That's like not everything is narrated, and
Sure.
what you said to me yesterday, Steve, was that you have menus where the button prompts are narrated, but nothing else.
Yep.
So it's kind of like a bit iffy in places there. But in general, yeah, I think Forza Horizon 5 is the best Forza Horizon game to date, and after the year that we've had in this year, 2021, I think probably one of the accessible games of this year that's come out.
I would agree. And the thing is, like I said, I mentioned before, I am not great at driving games, and I tried this game with with a little bit of expectation, being like hoping that it was going to be a little bit more accessible for me to be able to play. And for the most part, when I jumped in, it was like, because I jumped in with basically fully assisted driving and stuff like that, which basically kind of like lines you up on the driving direction path that kind of overlays on the road, and it does slow, like it brakes when you need to, and it really kind of like forces you on that line, which is great and can really kind of help just kind of like acclimate you to basically the game. But then also even adding the bonus of the rewind feature, where essentially if you just make like one mistake, like on a turn, you can just quickly rewind yourself back so you can be able to like get your into the turn properly again, and add it onto that. But what I found was I was sort of like, it was kind of like a kind of a push and pull, where I was wanting certain things to do or some control over, and then but the game was kind of like trying to take control away from me. But once I really dove into the settings a bit and adjusted a bit of like the steering sensitivity, and kind of like the assisted modes, kind of turn that down a bit, and even the difficulty modes kind of turn that down a bit. Like it really like allowed me to tweak the experience to be able to make it so that I can fully enjoy the game without with my disability getting in the way. And I think that's kind of like the joy of Forza, is that you get to like have the experience of, it's gorgeous driving around Mexico, but it's also like amazing just to be able to kind of like really fine tweak not only just your cars and fine tune them to be able to make them even perform even better, but it's also like the ability to be able to just like kind of like trying out different cars and different tracks and different sort of like areas around the whole map. And it's a large map too. And I think, yeah, I agree with both of you. It is I would say definitely the most inclusive and accessible Xbox game to date. We'll see how that comes once Halo comes out in a couple of weeks. But I think in a year of 2021 hasn't been a lot of accessibility wins for games, this is definitely one of them. So Ben, you did mention in regards to the narrator. So I kind of wanted to, at least, because there is, as much as we say this is really accessible, there are obviously some drawbacks to it, and it's stuff that you could sort of possibly hope for as a post-launch update at some point, or it could just be that it just was a lot more easier said than done to be able to try to implement. And Ben, you mentioned in regards to the narrator, that is true. So there are many kind of menus that aren't narrated. It'll just even tell you this menu is not narrated, which is kind of a bummer, but it does work for at least the very most important stuff, but not in anything beyond just kind of like even getting into the in-game menu. But according, I want to talk to you because you mentioned in regards to the DJs. So explain a little bit about the issue with the DJs and subtitles.
As far as I know, this has been an issue throughout the series, but where most of the voiceover is captioned or is subtitled, the DJs are not. And it's particularly disappointing in this one because I always listen to the classical station in Forza games. And in past games, the classical DJ has been kind of a dick, I guess. Like, detached from the series and not caring about what's going on. Whereas this one, she's really full of personality, and she talks about drivers. She talks about things you're doing as the player. Mm-hmm. And it's a shame that players that rely on captions, deaf and hard of hearing players, etc., don't get that immersion, because to me, listening to her and being able to laugh or enjoy some of the things that she says really puts you in the world, in my opinion. Whereas without the captions, you're kind of missing a whole part of the game.
I agree. Yeah, the DJs is kind of like one of the things I didn't expect. Like, as I knew there was radio in there, but I didn't think the DJs would kind of like be like super sort of like immersive in that. There's even times where you'll hear the DJ say, and our favorite superstar loves listening to Pulse. Like, it's and it kind of takes into the fact of like, if you've been listening to one station for long enough, it'll even mention that, and it'll even have like story elements where they'll talk to some of the NPCs that you've been working with in some of the story sort of quests. And they're explaining that, oh yeah, like this certain superstar has been helping me out, and it's like they're talking about you, but it's like it kind of really doesn't feel like you're part of the Horizon sort of experience, but yeah, or adventure. But it's a shame that essentially that's not captioned, and could be that it's just like you can jump into a radio station, they could be mid like sentence, and it'd be difficult to be able to caption something like that. I don't know.
Right.
But yeah, it is a shame that that's not subtitled. I hope that that's something that can be able to happen in the future. But yeah, if you're saying that's a problem with the series, it doesn't look like that they were able to solve that in 5, at least for our when we were doing our review purposes. It could be happen later. I mean, who knows? Will people watching this on YouTube later? Ben, what about you? What were some of the kind of like the things that you noticed that were just not necessarily like really bad accessibility? I mean, hey, if there's stuff that you pointed out, hey, we'll talk about it. But yeah, what are some of the things that you kind of saw that were a little bit off for accessibility?
Yeah, so I was actually one of the people that didn't really get immersed into the radio stations. I could hear the host talking, but no captions there, so that would be something that's a negative, really. I think this is probably more a me issue, I guess, but when you're driving around over 120 miles an hour, zooming through like mountains and jungles and stuff, and people are talking to you with the subtitles, I don't know what to focus on, the road or the subtitles. And it's kind of made me think that maybe it would be nice to have control over the positioning or subtitles, so rather than having them like set in the lower thirds, be able to adjust them a bit so they cover your car but not the road, so your eyes aren't having to gaze too much. But I think that was probably just I missed quite a lot of story elements because I was too focused on trying to crash my brand new car. But there's another thing as well that which was in relation to difficulty. So the harder the difficulty, the more credits that you earn. And I know that this is something that Courtney is probably best to talk about because of a recent experience with another game. So I thought to Courtney, see if I can do it on the camera.
Yeah.
Wrong way, but it's okay.
So yeah, in Riders Republic, I didn't love the control system in that if you relied on the controls that didn't require like button precision or timing precision, you didn't get penalized, but you didn't get a bonus. So it feels like you're being rewarded for being able-bodied or having quick reflexes. And it's a similar system in Forza, but to me, the fact that it's just credits and not XP makes it a little more okay. But like, honestly, I would love to see just that sort of system, like being more rewarded for how good you are, just kind of go away, because it sucks if you rely on, if you need assistive modes or anything like that, and then okay, well, I'm not going to get this bonus credit, and then here's all these other people that might be. It doesn't feel good. Doesn't make for very inclusive gaming.
Yeah, I'm also not a big fan of that either. I mean, I understand sort of the mentality or the thinking behind it, but yeah, it kind of does sort of make it even a little bit harder to kind of like be able to grind up and collect credits and XP and stuff like that. Especially when when this game kind of relies on that to progress forward in the story. So it does mean that you have to grind more at lower difficulties than at higher difficulty. But I will say that, like, as well, it's one of those things that's like, what's interesting about like how they kind of award XP and credits is that it's okay to crash into things because you get XP anyway for crashing into things, which is kind of funny. I was like, oh, okay, so it's okay to be able to crash into that tree that's over there. Okay, I'm fine with that because I do that a lot. But it's so there are some like kind of like, as we say, it's like, but it is like kind of a bit of a balancing act with it. I will say in regards to difficulty, so I did start off at like kind of the lower end of the kind of the easier quote unquote difficulty in that sense, and I was starting to kind of like win a few races here and there, but then it got to the point where I was like winning pretty much all like by a lot, and one of the long races that you do, there was a thing that popped up that said, hey, you've been kind of winning races a little easily. Like, it literally says that you've been winning races a little easily. Do you want to up the difficulty level for this one? And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? I'll do that. And it was the most like challenging race I've ever been on. And that's a race that like you're on for like a good 15 minutes and you have to drive at high speeds because at that difficulty level, because if you lose your handle, like if you lose your direction in for 1 second, like they're on your ass, and they're basically like, and they're always a little bit have a better speed and acceleration than you, which was a challenge, and it was fun. I still beat the race, so there we go. But it was like it actually kind of hurt my hand because I was holding the trigger down to be able to accelerate so hard, and holding that for like 15 minutes. I was like, I'm okay with like being able to do that for a first person shooter because you're like constantly tapping it, but holding it down for 15 minutes, that hurt. And
everybody knows in racing games, the harder you hold the trigger, the faster you go, right? Like you have to mash it into oblivion, and you.
What's interesting about the difficulty is that Cal I played, I actually got a chance to sit down with some of the developers from Playground Games, and they explained that the tourist mode is a new difficulty that's been added to Forza Horizon 5. And essentially what that does, it pushes you to the front of the starting grid. So you're ahead of everybody already from the start. But after that, if you do fall behind, you miss a checkpoint, and you get sent back a little bit, every AI in front will slow down, allowing you to catch up. Once you catch up, then they'll start being challenging again. And I think that's a pretty cool introduction to just a much simpler racing style.
See, that's what I was talking about, like the little bit behind the scenes of under the hood of how the sort of accessibility that's built into the game is a part of it, because there's definitely a lot that's happening behind the scenes that kind of like really helps make the game a lot more accessible. And so I would say like, even with the stuff that we talked about, sort of like they can be blockers and certain things that would be difficult for certain people under different disability spectrums to be able to play. I think that for the most part, I mean, yes, this is definitely the most accessible Forza to date. And it's the most accessible, like at least Xbox title to date. So they definitely hit another home run with this one. That's kind of like my general thoughts. Courtney, what are your sort of like last kind of like thoughts about accessibility for this one?
I think the biggest testament to the accessibility is that I just want to keep playing it. You know, this is the first one that I've been able to get off of easiest difficulty, because with the new systems and the new controllers, you have a little bit more fine-tuned control over things, and it feels good to play, and it feels better to play than previous entries in the series. But it's so good that I just want to keep playing it. Whereas I kind of lost that, okay, let me play more feeling as that I had in previous games.
Awesome. Ben, what about you?
I think Courtney kind of stole my answer, really. I mean, I'm just enjoying playing it so much. I feel comfortable reading. I feel comfortable understanding the subtitles when I'm not driving really super fast. And it just feels brilliant. And the fact that they told us that they're planning post-launch support as well. I don't know what other forms of support they have, but they are planning on adding ASL and BSL interpretation in the bottom corner of the screen.
Nice.
So if that is going to be post-launch, they just couldn't bring it at launch because of the script. But just that really, it's amazing to play. It feels good.
I love that. Yeah, and I'm echoing both of yours, because it's like, I definitely just, even talking about it now, I'm like, I just want to turn on my Xbox and play this right now. Like, seriously, it's just so much fun. I never thought I would like have this much fun playing a racing game. I think the last one I played that I enjoyed, that I played a lot of, was Gran Turismo 3, and even then I was like, it wasn't even really that good, but this one was something that I just like, I can't wait to get back in there. It's gorgeous. They really, I think, like made this game to look just as good and feels just as good, fun to play. And that kind of like is a testament to the franchise itself. It's just like the the environments you're in and the gameplay is just fun to kind of like just jump into a car and just race around the countryside. But then also as well, it's like if you want to jump in and really fine tweak things and kind of go for a simulated or simulation experience, you can totally do that too. So before I let you both go, Courtney, we were able to do something that I think other players, once this game launches, can be able to find and be able to add on into the game. Can you tell us a little bit about the livery and what you can actually be able to search for?
We and you'll be able to find this on Can I Play That Twitter on the embargo day, but we were able to create the Can I Play That logo and put it in the livery, so everybody can have Can I Play That race cars now, from your super speedy McLarens to my favorite, the Bronco.
Yes, the Bronco. Yeah, so that was so. I think we both, myself and Courtney, we have, like, if you just search for CIPT, you'll be able to find the special kind of like a design. Can I Play That designs? And it looks pretty good. Like I'll say, like, yeah, the Bronco and what was it? You did it on the Volkswagen. Like, did you do it on the Volkswagen Beetle?
Oh, the little BMW.
The BMW. Yeah, that was. Yeah. That was cute too. So yeah, you can be able to download those, and especially like, yeah, for the Ford Bronco, which is one of the first cars you get at the beginning of the game, so you can be able to, you know, have a little bit of Can I Play That as part of your gaming experience, and it looks pretty cool too. Like it's like I would say, like we made some pretty good looking cars. I'm just so yeah, just make sure, and I'll I don't know, I don't even, you can't even link to it. Just search for CIPT in the, I guess, the livery once you get the game at launch, and you can be able to find the Can I Play That design. So also as well, if you want to be able to find out more about Can I Play That and all the reviews, Ben, where can we be able to find all the coverage for Forza Horizon 5?
Yes, we will be publishing all of our articles on launch week, so you'll be able to find our review and menu deep dive and Courtney's features on caniplaythat.com, and you can see why we gave it a 9 out of 10.
Oh, there you go. Exclusive there. Courtney, what is some of the articles the features you got at Can I Play That?
Details the history of Can I Play That, and my personal history with myself and my late partner, and why the series is special to us. And then I have another feature looking at the addition of prosthetics and they/them pronouns for character customization.
That's something we didn't get to talk about, but that was something that was really cool about the inclusion factor of accessibility in there. So that's really, really awesome. I want to thank Courtney and Ben for joining me today. If you want to be able to check out all of their coverage, you can be able to follow at Can I Play That on Twitter, or go to caniplaythat.com, link in the description down below, and you can be able to see all the coverage that they have for all the features and articles and reviews that they have going up today, as well as for the rest of the week leading up to release. A few things I wanted to kind of bring up that we didn't get a chance to mention in the conversation, but I was really fascinated by, one of which was the colorblind features. What you can be able to do is you can adjust the user interface colorblind settings, so it will help to be able to navigate the menus from there, but also you can add a colorblind filter to the gameplay itself. So we've kind of seen a little bit in certain games of certain ways to be able to adjust the user interface and the gameplay, but usually they're kind of like combined together. This is the first time I've seen where actually the two things are completely separate, and you can be able to adjust each individual, whether it's gameplay or user interface, for colorblindness settings, and I thought that was really cool. Another thing I didn't mention in this that really helps blind and low vision is the high contrast mode. There are a few things that actually I just kind of like turned it on and just thought, oh, this is cool to be able to see the interface. I didn't realize until I actually turned it off and then turned it back on again that I was like, oh, this actually helps out a lot. There are times where you can be able to see certain elements on the HUD that actually can blend into the environment, and if you turn on the high contrast filter on, it'll actually add like a drop shadow or a background to some of the user interface that actually kind of makes things stand out a little bit easier and makes it a little bit easier for me to be able to see. So I thought that was really, really cool. I just forgot that I had it on because I turned it on at the beginning of the game, and I was like, oh, this is how the game looks, and then I forgot that is actually an accessibility option in there. So that's just a few things I kind of wanted to say in there. Once again, pick up this game. It's definitely worth checking out. It may not be able to hit every single disability part of the spectrum for definitely certain disabilities, but it's definitely one of the more accessible games to date for Xbox, and I definitely recommend checking that out. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you got this far in the video, God bless you. Like, thank you so very much. If you like this video, please hit the subscribe button. If you want to be able to like help grow this channel, be able to do that. Plus, also hit the like button. That'll really help out with not only this video, but also kind of add this into the algorithm. And if you want to be able to be notified when new videos come out, make sure you hit the bell notification icon too. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much again for watching. And as always, I remain obediently yours. Bye.